Hello, and welcome to Transformation by Truth podcast, where the called become the chosen, and those who have been dedicated to serve the Most High receive the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as we progress our quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. My name is D.L. Anderson. I'll be your tour guide. Let's get started with today's lesson. Shalom, my friends, and welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast in the quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. Today, we have a word of power from your host and a warning that the end is near and we are living in the last days. Today's podcast is entitled The Qualities of Strong Leaders, Part 4. I lead in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the path of judgment. Proverb 8:20. The podcast objectives are: reveal why leaders will receive greater judgment for misleading their congregations, call to remembrance the infinite value of our souls, and analyze the inconsistency of leaders whose actions do not mirror their words and we should not follow. To receive greater judgment. It goes without saying that leadership at every level is not an uncomplicated matter. This is especially the case when it comes to spiritual leadership. Here is why. Every spiritual leader is, to some degree, accountable for the souls of the men and women they are leading. On this wise, the scriptures refer to the members of each congregation as children or little ones. Reason being, as leaders, we must take great care in how we watch over our flocks, the same way we take great care in watching over our natural children. Yahushua Messiah takes it further, suggesting it would be better for one to drown than to offend one of his children. Matthew 18:5-6 reveals, and whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him that a millstone be hung around his neck and that he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Not a happy ending, but a just end for the man who rises to the office of leadership only to cause himself and others to fall. This is why James provides a clear warning to every leader, specifically teachers. James 3:1. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, knowing that we shall receive greater judgment. Knowing this, what value is there in electing yourself to receive greater judgment? What are the benefits? Where is the upside? Trust me, there is none, and only a fool seeks a long-term career outside of the Father's will. Your soul is at stake. Despite these facts, you will find the church circuit filled with some of the most unqualified leaders in our world. For that reason, it is incumbent upon each of us to make sure we are being led by men and women who value our souls as much as we do. Here's a question. How will you know if a leader truly has your best interest and is able to lead you down the path that leads to everlasting life? The answer: they are champions of righteousness and judgment. Trust me, it will not be hard to determine who is and who isn't a champion of righteousness and judgment. Just give it time, and all the pretenders will show their true colors, for these will make concessions with sin and fail to do what they know is right. Now, even though it won't be hard to determine what a true champion of righteousness looks like, you will find it very difficult to find one. They are as hard to find as a fiery preacher and an honest man. Be that as it may, you cannot allow the difficulty to discourage you. Neither can you compromise and settle for anything less. For all the reasons I've shared in this series and in prior series concerning leadership. Remember, your soul is at stake. You are the one who must stand before the judgment seat. You are the one who must give an account for your words and your deeds. As for the backwards pastor, he won't be with you at the judgment. Even if he was, it wouldn't change the outcome, for Elohim is the judge. Only his spiritual evaluation matters. Heretofore, we must all pay the more earnest heed to ensure we are adhering to his standards as they are revealed to us by his Spirit, and the men and women he has put in our lives to assist us in our quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. Not as I do. The key is the Father has put certain leaders in your life for a reason. As Proverbs tells us, it is to lead you in the way of righteousness and in the midst of the paths of judgment. You'll know because as champions of righteousness and judgment, these leaders will demonstrate the righteousness they preach. And they will not be partial in their judgments, for they, like the Father, are not respecters of persons. Deuteronomy 16:19 through 20. Do not wrest judgment. Do not respect persons. Neither take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. Follow righteousness, righteousness alone, so that you live and inherit the land which Yahuwah, your Elohim, is giving you. As it pertains to righteousness, strong leaders will always practice what they preach. Have you ever heard someone say, "Do as I say, not as I do"? Alas, these are some of the most common words spoken by church leaders. This is true, even though many of them will not say these words outright. However, they are speaking these words with their actions, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, for they fail to appreciate how our actions speak louder than our words. A prominent line of a powerful poem reads, "I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day." This speaks to one of the most critical aspects of every leader. They understand the significance of their actions, and thus there are certain actions they will not take. Now, this doesn't suggest leaders are never tempted or immune to spiritual assaults. We all are. However, the baseline of leadership, the fundamental qualification, is the power to overcome, not just for ourselves, but for others, namely those who are watching. 2 Corinthians 3:2 through 3. You are our letter, having been written in our hearts, known and read by all men, making it obvious that you are a letter of Messiah, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living Elohim, not on tablets of stone, but on fleshly tablets of the heart. Here's a question. If this call was given by a leader to his congregation, then how much more does it apply to the leader? The answer, even more so, which speaks to the factor of judgment. Namely, a true leader will judge themselves harder than anyone else. Although the so-called leaders in the church resist this and most models of accountability, they will not escape the judgment of Elohim, and neither will you. Therefore, I implore you once again, take heed, for the time is at hand. And the only ones who will be saved in these last days are those who hitch their wagons to the ministries of strong leaders. In the latter days, you shall consider it, and in the latter days, you will understand. Now, here is the final word. You cannot be saved while following a leader who is outside of the Father's will. As I said before, the champions of righteousness and judgment are few and far in between. For this reason, I ask you to pray for all who have been called, who do not have strong leaders in their lives, that the Father would lead them to their champion the same way he brought you here. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, The Qualities of Strong Leaders, Part 4. And next is The Quality of Strong Leaders, Part 5. I'll be posting that podcast on Monday. Until then, my friends, be led by the Spirit of Elohim, and I promise you, I will too. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Remember to tune in with us every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you haven't already, visit us at www.pinnacleofholiness.com and make sure you sign up to join the quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life 2022.